Hi, everybody. Welcome to our very special early morning episode of Vox Vomitus. As you can see, we are missing our guest at the moment, but we are sure he will be here shortly. As always, I am Jennifer Ann Gordon, your host. I am the author of Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent, as well as From Daylight to Madness, and the soon-to-be-released When the Sleeping Dead Still Talk. I am joined by only one of my Vox Vomitus vixens today, Miss Trisha Mckee, author of the Beyond series, including Beyond the Surface, Beyond the Dreams, and the upcoming Beyond the Chaos.
That's correct.
That is the correct.
You got it.
Yes, I was like, I said them all. And I didn't say
you.
Beyond the Sea. I didn't say.
No. Common mistake.
For me, it is. I love that song, Beyond the Sea by Bobby Darin. I've been dancing to it for like 12 years. So
I feel like it's instinct.
It's instinct. So the second I say Beyond the Sea will always come out.
That's perfectly fine.
So while we are waiting and hoping our guest shows up, we're hoping Max does show up with us, we will tell you a little bit about Max Seeck. He is a Finnish writer. He is from Finland. He writes Nordic Noir. His US debut, The Witch Hunter, actually debuts tomorrow. He is very well known in Europe, and we're excited to talk to him because, as people know, I like my books dark and creepy. I think Trisha likes hers dark and creepy as well.
Yes, I do.
So we're excited to talk to him. Before we went live, Trisha and I were discussing H.P. Lovecraft. So we can continue that discussion. We were talking about how neither of us are really big fans of H.P. Lovecraft. And I think for me as a horror writer, and Trisha writes horror as well as women's fiction and contemporary romance, that I think there's an expectation if you're a horror writer that you love H.P. Lovecraft. And
Yes, I thought I was the only one. I'm so glad this conversation happened because I'm
like, we have a show right here.
Yes, I would hide the shadows and just nod along when people would sing his praises, and some good stuff. He created some fantastic worlds. It's just
exactly. I think his world building was phenomenal. I think he was, ahead of his time, but I haven't been able to latch onto it. Like,
no,
I've had people who in the past, people who I'm friends with now, who are absolutely obsessed with Cthulhu, and like it's the be all end all of monsters. And like, I hate to say it, like, I think my eyes would glaze over a little bit when people are talking about it. And I'm like, oh no. But that being said, I'm very excited I'm going to be reading Lovecraft Country by Matt Ruff because I want to watch the show. I've heard the show's so good. And
it is. It's amazing.
And we have Matt coming on our show in November. So I'm excited about that.
Yes, the show is phenomenal.
I feel like I'm probably more drawn to people who are inspired by Lovecraft as opposed to Lovecraft himself. So I think I'll enjoy Lovecraft Country, but not Lovecraft.
It's definitely a funny thing because, you have a large gathering, a large following of one author, and it's like, when you're not part of that group, it's like, oh, it's almost like you're made to feel guilty or, that you're missing something. But you're right. There are people that like certain authors that I'm just not, a fan of. But if they're inspired to write something, they're taking a part of that and making it their own. And it can be completely different. So absolutely.
So there is, do you know the author Carolyn Kepnes? She writes You and Hidden Bodies. So
yes.
So there's the show on Netflix, You, which is great.
Oh yeah.
So she wrote those books, but she also wrote a book called Providence, which I think it's my favorite book of hers, and it is Lovecraftian inspired. So it's a monster
Wow.
story, but it's also a love story. It's about, you know, a man who's turned into a monster and how he can't be with the woman he really loves. And
Oh, I love a good love story.
it's probably one of the most beautiful love stories I've ever read, but it's dark, it's twisted, and she really leans into the Lovecraft mythology, so much so that like the you know, the villain leaves clues in like Lovecraft's work, like quotes Lovecraft's work. The character has to go to a Lovecraft convention to figure out, you know, what's going on.
Mm.
So, yeah.
That sounds
And then it made me,
amazing.
you would love it. You would love it. Dark, creepy, love
Love.
story. Love,
I love the dark,
love,
creepy love.
yeah. I know. You had me at dark and creepy, then you added love.
I'm there.
Like, what? There's somebody in love with an actual monster? Sign me up. I want to read that.
I think
And
I've been
also,
there in my life now.
yeah. And I think I'm a dork because I love it when books are set near my home. And so Lovecraft is from Providence, Rhode Island, so part of New England. But
Right.
the book Providence, part of it takes place in a town not far from me in like the basement of a mall. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think that's the Pheasant Lane Mall in Nashua she's talking about.
A basement
So
mall. Oh my goodness, the possibilities.
yeah,
Ooh.
there's a character gets kidnapped and he's held in like the basement of a mall, like so he can like hear the food court and everything above him, but nobody knows he's down there.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. I'm sold. I'm
buy that
sold.
book.
That
Yeah, download it on your
I'm on my
Kindle.
phone ordering it.
I know it's like, hold on. And you said Providence is what it was called, and
Yes. Yes.
so
Yes.
that book made me want to revisit Lovecraft and think. I thought like, well, maybe I've grown up enough that I'll understand it or like it more, and I still didn't. So
I understand. I understand. But yeah, back to the love story.
yeah,
I when I hear like the beautiful love story, I'm always thinking in my mind, okay, so what's wrong with them? Like, because I
right.
love when it's just you have to have the flawed characters, and what's more flawed than a monster?
Especially like
Yes.
an unwilling monster. Like he became a monster. It was like forced on him. So
Yes.
yeah, yeah, and
Mhm.
you'll love it. You'll love it when you read it. We'll have to have another random show where our guest isn't here. I know.
Oh.
I'm like, I'm gonna email Max just real quick just to make sure.
Yes, yes. Go ahead and email him. And we want to remind everyone we have our regularly scheduled show Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, and it's our Halloween show. You don't want to miss that. I'm excited. Costumes and everything, right?
Costumes and everything. Yeah, because why not?
Why not? Maybe
I'm
some
not,
spells. I don't know.
I'm really now wishing that we had spent the time and energy on Hocus Pocus costumes for the show.
Goals.
But
You know what? Next year
next
we'll be
year,
prepared.
yeah,
Yes.
we'll have a whole year to prepare.
There was something about that show that came up, and it was about a character or something, and it reminded me of you. There was a connection, and I'll have to look it up. But I was like, I have to send that to Jen, and then I got distracted as I often do, and it was never sent. But the thought was there.
Well, now I'm intrigued to get like a random message at some point. So are
Yes.
you doing like full Halloween makeup for our Wednesday show? Or
No, probably not makeup, unless my niece can make it down here to help me with the makeup, but probably regular makeup. I want to curl my hair because why not? I think I just have like a simple thing to put on.
okay, I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
What about you?
yesterday,
You're doing makeup?
probably not. Probably not too much makeup. Um, yeah, I think it just depends on what crazy thing I pull out of my closet to wear. If I'm
Oh.
wearing a headpiece, I don't want to distract from the headpiece with too much makeup.
Oh, I could wear the skirt. I know you won't be able to see it, but I want to wear the skirt.
The skirt, your 1950s beautiful polka dot.
Polka dot. Yes, that my daughter's
Like,
not let me wear to functions.
oh, no, no, don't let her be the boss of you. Wear that polka dot skirt.
I know, I'm wearing it Thanksgiving. I'm breaking it out.
I
She's like,
love
my
it.
friends are coming. And I'm like, I don't care.
You
I'm
should, I
so
mean,
jealous.
if I were you, I would actually like order a petticoat on Amazon so I would make the skirt even bigger and fuller.
Yes.
And I'd
Yes.
wear a little pearl necklace and like I would just rock the 50s look even harder. She'd be like,
Yes.
she'll be so embarrassed by everything else she won't even notice the skirt.
That's good point. She will appreciate the skirt then. Yes.
Yeah.
I did have a fuzzy sweater that I would wear with it.
Yes.
Oh, I'm all about the 50s. Let
You
me tell
are
you.
all about the
My
50s.
yes. My whole wardrobe could be that and I could get away with it. I would do it.
I went through a phase a couple years ago where I predominantly just wore 50s clothes. Like rockabilly dresses, tons of those like sweetheart necklines with the crinoline underneath. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, I found a brand on Amazon that sold them cheap and they were stretchy. So I just love things that are stretchy because then they're just more
Yes.
comfortable. So
Comfortable
and
50s.
yeah, I blame even though this was the 60s, I blame Mad Men for me all of a sudden dressing like
I've
uh
never seen that.
oh my gosh. So I loved Mad Men. I think as a TV series, it's like what, 8 seasons. I never saw an episode that was bad. It was incredible. And it was just eye candy because the first season takes
Wow.
place in like 1960. And it's great to see just the outfits,
Right.
the 50s dresses, the wiggle skirts, because there's of course an amazing character, Joan, the secretary, who is red hair, big boobs, hourglass figure, rocks a wiggle dress, and
Oh,
at my
wow.
job at the time, we had a Mad Men party, and I dressed as Joan. And that was my
Oh,
first
that's
wiggle dress. And then I thought, there's no going back now.
yeah, I'm there. I'm there. I've entered this phase of my life. I've discovered this. I get it. Isn't the Gilmore Girls actress on there?
Yes. Yes, she was.
Well, it's a wonder I haven't watched that show. That's I know it's on my list. I just haven't watched it. But
I watched it late, like it had already ended. And I like just binged it after everybody in the
yeah,
world had already
I
loved the show.
I need a show to binge. I really do. Like on
Because you,
my own because we're still Bly House. We're still watching that,
okay.
and but I can't watch it without my husband. First of all, because when I'm home alone, I can't. I'm not doing it. I'm not scaring myself. And second of all, just because it's a rule. So I need a show I can watch on my own and where I don't have to wait for him and he doesn't have to wait for me. You
Yeah,
know, you know the
I know.
partnership rules.
Exactly. Exactly. Like I always try to find that show that I can binge watch while I'm like working out that I don't have
Yes,
to watch with Roman. And usually
yes,
those end up being a lot of like true crime documentary series
yes.
on Netflix.
I love those too. Yes.
So I know.
I love the documentaries. It doesn't even have to be true crime. They had one on video games. They had one on how certain movies were made. I am all in. Like,
Well,
wow.
I think I love this because I think that this is something that all writers have in common is that we love to soak up information that we don't know
Yes.
about. So,
Yes.
and watching a documentary is a lot easier than like deep diving into like research for something. If
Yes.
it can entertain me while I'm learning about something that I didn't
That
know about.
visual. It's that visual
Yeah.
thing too. Yes. And no, I agree with that. Just especially if it takes you to a certain place like video games, it takes me back to the 80s when we had the Atari and just that feeling of the 80s and the sunny afternoons in the summer and you just be in the living room playing this new, you know, Atari was the video games were so new, like video games in the house. So like to go and watch that documentary, it's like, yes.
Yeah, it
And it
really
kind of
is our
helps keep track of
childhood.
that.
See,
Yes.
I should probably watch it then. Yeah. Uh, I I feel like the kids these days, they know they're never going to understand that glory that we had when we first played a video game on our crappy TV that got 4 stations that you had to get up and change the channel on. And and the video games were like so bad and basic, but I loved them.
Blinking, yes.
Yeah, like literally it's just like lights just blinking. Hi, Allison.
Moving. Hi,
Oh,
we missed you. Oh
oh,
no. Rattling the
so
whole house.
so everybody, yeah. People are wondering, where is Allison Martine? Allison lives in California, so it is very early there, and she has little
Oh.
ones that they need her attention in the morning. They have to like be fed and go to school. So
That's that's what I
Allison's
did
9.
wrong in parenting. The feeding
Yeah.
and being there.
Now they expect it still.
Yeah. Yeah, it never ends.
So, is your parenting advice just ignore the children when they're small?
My parenting advice is have a child that's very independent from the start. For some reason, I was given one that was independent from the start, and yeah, it helped me out.
I remember my parents have always said, my mom has always said that when I was born, I was already 40. Like I was born a 40-year-old woman. So like by
Oh,
the
that's
age of
my
2,
daughter.
I was just like, leave me alone. I just want a picture book. If there were like family functions, they were always like, go play with the kids. And I'm like, I don't want to play with the kids. I,
Yes, I would do that
I
at
just
family
want to like,
functions. I would go and read in the car. And my mom's
I
like,
would,
everyone thinks there's something wrong with you. And I'm like, well, there is. I want to read.
yeah,
You're bugging
I,
me.
I would read like under the kitchen table, on the floor. People are like having fun around me. This is how I ruined Christmas multiple times.
Yes. Just act normal.
I
She's
know.
like, don't you want to celebrate? And it's like, this is my way of celebrating. I want new books for Christmas and I want to be able to read them.
I remember, I think it was the summer of, I can't remember if it was 7th grade or 8th grade year. I was able to somehow get to like this little mall that was close to our house, and there was a bookstore there. So I was just devouring books every day, all day. I barely went outside. And I remember my mom said her friends were like, there's something wrong with Jennifer. It's not normal for somebody to read that much. She must be depressed. And I was like, actually, this is not what I do when I'm depressed. Like, I was just
I'm
like,
actually very happy. See?
yeah, yeah. I want to say I read, yeah, like hundreds of books that summer, sometimes 2 books a day.
Oh,
Oh, here's
hi.
Hi, Jules. I'm so
Matt.
I'm so sorry for being late. It's totally my mistake. I just, the time changed yesterday in Finland, and I just mixed up the whole schedule. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Oh,
I was I
wow.
was I was going to be live in 40 minutes at 6 o'clock my time.
Oh gosh, I didn't know you had a time change yesterday in
It's not
Finland.
your problem. It's totally my mistake, and I'm sorry. I'm now
You
I'm
are
here.
okay. You are here, and
Hey,
you got to make a dramatic entrance,
yes.
which I love.
Exactly. So
And I
how you
won't
guys doing?
lie. Yeah. So we've just been gabbing away. Thank
Yeah.
you, Max. And I want to make sure I'm saying your last name correctly. Is it Seek? Is it Seck?
It's it's Seeck with the double e,
Seck.
but it's
Oh,
Seeck. Yeah,
Seck.
but I don't mind. I even I hear it's not even a Finnish name, so I hear a lot of different versions of it. So I don't mind, but it's Seeck. Yeah,
Sayek. Okay,
yeah,
got it. Got it. So we gave you a little introduction before you were here. We talked about you being a Nordic Noir best-selling author in Europe, and your new book, The Witch Hunter, is released in the United States tomorrow, correct?
exactly. Yes.
So that is very exciting. Uh,
Yes, indeed.
just mentioning that had Trisha and I we just started talking about how we love dark books and the creepiness of literature. So you are that's what you're known for, right? Like writing dark
Yeah, pretty much.
mystery, pretty much.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, have you always been drawn to the dark side of?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think generally people who write the Nordic noir or like really dark crime stories, generally they
Oh, oh, Max, you're cutting out on us.
Oh no.
Oh no. Now we're having technical difficulties. Oh, all right,
Okay,
so
he's
we've
gonna try
lost.
to.
Yeah, he's going to re-enter. So this episode is filled with excitement.
It's edge of your seat. What's gonna happen next? You're
I love
welcome. You're welcome.
it. Yeah. So it's actually been great because this is our first overseas guest that we've
Yes.
had who's in like a very, very different time zone. So we've gone
Yes.
international Vox Vomitus viewers, listeners.
Oh yes. We knew it would happen. We knew it.
Yeah. I love his accent.
Oh, I know. But can you imagine the rotten luck that their time change was yesterday? And
That is so random. I know because we cannot. We.
okay.
Oh, we're getting Rex back.
great.
Yay!
Yay!
So great. Yeah, so much trouble for one interview. Yeah, it must be the
Oh,
overseas connection, right?
it's got to be that. It's the overseas thing. So you were talking before you cut out about Nordic noir writers and the
Yeah,
darkness.
yes, and I think the Nordic noir writers generally are very nice people. Like, and the first time I started writing Nordic noir, the people who know me best, they were kind of surprised that I'm capable of such ideas and such writing. And I think, yeah, I think it's pretty common here. If you write like crime fiction, I think it's always pretty dark. And my own theory, this is not 100%, might not be accurate, but I think that because it's such a safe environment, such a safe country, Finland, for instance, so people really want to read something creepy, just so they would feel more dangerous, they would feel more alive, I think.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with
I
that too.
read this kind of literature somewhere in a really, really dangerous place where they have to fight for their lives every day.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're living in that kind of situation, I don't think your escapism is reading about serial killers. I think those are the people that need to read and write things that are a little lighter.
Exactly. Yes.
So are you excited? I mean, you must be excited that this is your USA debut. Have you been getting a lot of like interviews from the United States? Or
Yeah, I'm really excited, and yeah, tomorrow is the release date, and I've seen so many already because they shared the book to bloggers and different people. So I've seen so many reviews already online, and they've been mainly positive. So I'm really glad for that. But I think there will be more to come. I think without the COVID situation, I would be in US right now doing some promotions. Right? It's a shame that obviously that what's the situation is, but yeah, I'm super excited. I couldn't be more happy. I have the book actually right here with me, so I just read it yesterday. Not quite true, but I still love to have it on my hand.
Yes. So I have your book on pre-order because I did not get an ARC of it. So it will be downloaded to my Kindle at midnight tonight, and I'm very excited. Very excited to dive into it. I write horror and like dark Gothic fiction. Trisha dabbles in horror, sci-fi. A little of those things. I mean, you're known for your women's fiction, but we always gravitate towards the flawed characters and the deeply disturbing stories. So
yeah, actually I stalked you, Jennifer, as well on Instagram, and I found really interesting pictures, and I love the overall atmosphere on your account.
I know. So everybody, I was telling Max via email that I stalk him on Instagram. So thank you for stalking me back.
Yes.
That makes it seem less creepy than me just saying, I looked at all of your pictures, Max.
I think like mutual stalking. I think it's nice.
Mutual stalking.
Yes, there's good stalking. There's good stalking. It's all good.
Are you, Trish? Are you on Instagram as well?
I am, yes. It's Trisha and Mckee. So please stalk away.
I will find you.
Thank you. I'll do the same.
Trisha has great pictures of her bulldogs. So
bulldogs. Yep, that's pretty much what it is.
Bulldogs are nice. I have a Labrador. We have a Labrador at home.
Oh, they're wonderful.
Yeah, I like dogs a lot.
Yep. Yes, we're dog people.
We are dog people. So Max, is this the first in a series of books? So if I get really invested into your main character, am I going to see her again? Because the reviews I read say that she's really intense and awesome.
Yes, it's indeed the first book of a series, and in fact, the second book of the series has already come out in Finland just a couple of weeks ago. So the sequel is out, and it's being translated as we speak, like in English. So I think you will have it next year at some point, or you are gonna have it next year at some point. Yeah, I think it's gonna be like a 3-book series, like a trilogy. Maybe more if I want to keep the main characters alive, and you never know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you never know. They could die at any time.
They could die. How I feel in the morning when I start writing. So, as you know. Yeah.
So you wouldn't be afraid to kill off a main character?
No, and I have actually. I think if you feel like it, you have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
But so far, I think Jessica Niemi, who is the female lead in the series, she's still alive, and I don't think it's a spoiler because you know already that there will be a second book.
Yeah.
So, but maybe some other main characters might die. I mean, that's always possible.
Trisha, yes. I know you and I were talking before Max came in, and I know you had a question for Max that you wanted to.
I do. I saw that you love to listen to movie soundtracks. And I want to know more about that. Do you listen while you're writing? What kind of movies? What kind of music?
Yeah, I totally. I don't think I ever write without having my headphones on, and I usually listen to. I have these different, track lists or song lists or playlists, right? For different kinds of sequences. So if I let's say I want to write something really scary, I usually tend to listen to horror music soundtracks, horror movie soundtracks. So for instance, when I was writing The Witch Hunter, I was listening to a soundtrack from the movie called The Get Out. You know the one?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
One of my favorites. Yeah, like recent favorites. So and many other movies like that. So it definitely helps me to get in the mood.
Yes.
And what I've been told that my books are pretty cinematic. So I think it's because of I listen to the the scores when I write the book. I think it shows in the end result.
Yeah, so it's probably, I would think it would help you visualize your books as movies already. So
yeah, exactly. And that shows. I've been told that it reads like a movie kind of. I think it's partly because of the soundtracks I listen to.
good. If you like, and I know you do, like dark and creepy things to listen to, there's a genre of music called dark ambient, and you can look it up on YouTube or Spotify or anything. But dark ambient, it's music without it being musical, and I always tell people it sounds like a haunted house.
Oh, that's scary. I will definitely give it a try.
Yeah.
What was
I'll
it?
send you dark ambient. I'll send you a couple artists to listen to. It's really, really cool.
That's
And
great.
that's what I listen to when I write.
Great.
So, how many novels do you have out total, like in Finland? And
Five. This newest one was the fifth one, and the fourth one was The Witch Hunter. Actually, the first one that got translated to many languages. The previous ones have been translated to some language, like Italian and German. And I was like patiently waiting for that. My book would be translated to English one day, and then I think it was the story that made it. That we have the female character in a very snowy and dark Finland and the serial killer. I think those were the ingredients that got people interested.
Yeah, those are my big three ingredients that I love: female lead, serial killer, snow.
Yeah, we're there.
How many books have you written?
I have 3. I have 2 that are out right now, and I have one that's coming out next month. That is the second part to my second novel.
Okay.
So, and Trisha has 2 novels out, and your third is coming out in December. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Will be soon enough.
I know.
Right.
It happens fast. I kept saying, I have so much time until the book comes out. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, the book comes out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that always happens fast. Where are you guys, by the way? Which part of the US?
So I am in the Northeast United States. I'm in New Hampshire. So it's close to Canada.
Okay.
That's where I am. It's a little state.
Weather-wise, pretty much what we have here.
It is, dark, snowy. Yeah. It's hot during the summer, but it's very dark and very snowy most of the time.
Yeah, that sounds like where I'm from. The summer is pretty nice, but the winter can be crazy, especially because I think nowadays, in the last couple of years, we don't even have snow in the southern part. We just have the darkness. Makes it even more terrible.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, the snow at least makes it really pretty, I think.
Yes, I agree.
What about Trisha? Where are you?
I'm in Pennsylvania, so Northeast, so same kind of weather. She and I are having, it's cold and dark and drizzly today.
Yeah.
So
we have no snow, unfortunately.
No, yeah, it's kind of early for us for snow, but probably in a few weeks it'll start.
Okay.
Yeah. So my fiance is from Russia originally, uh,
Okay.
and it's from St. Petersburg. And when he moved here, he said, "Oh, this is exactly like being in Russia, like the same kind of weather, the same kind of trees." He was like, "Oh, I understand this."
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's a beautiful city. I don't know if you've been there, St. Petersburg.
I have not
Yeah.
yet. It was supposed to be our plan for this year, but then COVID, uh,
Yeah.
kind of stopped that.
Really beautiful city and
I've
fun city.
heard. Yeah. So were you born in Finland?
Yeah. Yeah. I was born here in Helsinki. It's I did live 3 years in Estonia. That's like the neighboring country, the southern country, yes. And then I lived 1 year in Switzerland. I studied in Switzerland, but other than that, I've always been here in Finland. I've traveled a lot, but I never thought of moving anywhere.
Right.
Uh,
Well, I think you probably get so much of your inspiration is coming from where you live that that you would be she would be ashamed to move. I don't think I could picture you someplace bright and sunny writing your Nordic Noir.
no, I think it would be fun for like a month, and then I would, miss the darkness. And like I said, as you know, if it would be like all around the year, the dark all the time, then it would be terrible. But the summers are really nice, so you can cope with that. The winter. But I wouldn't want to move anywhere. I think I'm just gonna die here eventually. Live first, of course, hopefully long.
Yeah, not for a very long time, and not at the
Right.
hands of a serial killer, because Finland is very safe. So I'm intrigued a lot by The Witch Hunter because I always love books that have like a book within a book, or there's a murder that's based on. Because I think the premise is a best-selling novelist, his wife is found murdered, but
Yeah,
it's like basically a murder that he wrote in his book. So
yeah.
I I love I love it when writers do books within books and it gets like kind of meta. So do you write about writers a lot? Like I know Stephen King writes about writers in almost all of his books,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, he does, and King is one of my all-time favorites. I actually I'm currently reading The Shining the first time.
Ooh.
I've seen the movie 100 times, but I never read the book, so now I'm reading it, and
oh
I'm
my gosh.
So exciting.
yeah. You have read it already, right?
We
Oh,
both,
yes.
I've read it.
Yes.
I,
A lot
I
of
wish
times.
I've read it I think 3 times.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
I
really
I
good.
love haunted house stories, and so The Shining is right up your alley because again, dark, snowy.
It could be in Finland the whole setup. But yeah, I mean, I think the Witch Hunter is the first and so far only book that actually has a writer in it. And but yeah, it's actually it's crazy. I was just talking to my agent because it's like 2 years ago. I showed my manuscript to my agent, like this is how it's gonna be. There's a book, and somebody's like copying the murders from the book, and the book is sold to I don't know 45 countries, and they have the different covers in the bookshelf. They're talking about the witch hunt or Hexenjagd or Hexenjagd, like in different European languages. And it turns out this book is indeed sold to 38 countries. And now what is Witch Hunt in the book is actually Witch Hunter that is actually being published in the US. So there's so many different levels. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, we have a book in a book, and the whole thing, was translated to so many languages. I think it's super crazy, and I still don't believe it.
Right, right.
I was just about to ask, has it sunk in that you are
I,
about to become incredibly famous all over the
well,
world?
I don't want to go there just yet. I mean, first of all, it's always possible that the book don't sell, which I hope is not the case. But I'm really, I want to be patient and see how it goes. Now, we have done a great job, so we have got the book everywhere, but to be super famous in US, I think there's still quite many miles ahead before I can celebrate that. So yeah, I just have to wait patiently and see how it goes.
Well, normally on our show we celebrate with cocktails, but because it's morning on our end, we would have toasted you with in celebration today. But
We can do imaginary toasting here.
imaginary toast to your success.
Yes.
Nice.
Well.
She's like
Red Bull,
Bull.
nice. Elaborate.
My energy drink. It's morning.
That's a huge can you have there. I mean, what is the size?
It's 12 ounce.
Oh, okay. I don't even know what it is in our terms, but I think we
I
are
don't-
half the size of that.
Yeah.
That's
This is
Yeah,
the
I think
medium. It's the medium.
that's the
The
medium.
medium. Yeah.
Whoa.
the large is just called a heart
Okay.
attack.
That's
Yes.
amazing. We all have the small ones, like, like this. I'm jealous.
So, Max, do you find writing to be do you plot everything out? Do you just see what happens? Like describe kind of your style, your process.
I really don't make too many plans ahead. I think it's important just to start writing. I don't have usually I don't have problems to start writing. I just do and see what comes out, and I think it's easy not to plan because you can just go with the flow, and if you come up with something totally amazing, and if it shouldn't fit with something you have written before, you can always go back and edit. And that sounds very simple, but I think that's something that the people who don't write books, they don't understand. I admire people like Christie and those like crime fiction writers who did writing, I don't know, 100 years ago, 50 years ago, when there wasn't computers, just a typewriter, where editing was virtually difficult, at least. So
Right.
but now you go back and you add, maybe if you need a clue or a hint or a dialogue you need later, you just add it. I think it's but I have so many writing friends who make like post-it notes on the wall, and they plan it the entire book before they start typing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't write like that.
No, me neither.
So you just you just go with the flow
I
as
just
well.
Yes.
Sometimes I know what the end will be, and I try to sort of write towards that, but I think
Right.
many times my characters do things that I didn't expect them to do, and then the book veers off into a different direction, and and everybody in my house can hear me screaming at my computer like, no, why did you make that choice? And then I just keep typing. I'm like,
sounds
you
familiar.
just do it yourself. Yeah. So our show is called Vox Vomitus, which is a fake Latin way of saying word vomit, because we like to talk to authors about not just the good work they do, but the things they've written in the past that it's gone bad, or like the first drafts that are just terrible. Do you have any bad writing stories, or like maybe when you first started before you were published?
I don't have too many bad memories writing. I mean, sometimes the text won't come out. You cannot come up with anything. So then usually I try to do something else. I like research or talk to people. I want to learn something or Google things. I need in the book, but I don't know anything about. Like, let's say the Witch Hunter. I needed a lot of information about the medieval witch hunts. So I didn't know too much about it before. I've heard of it, and I maybe seen some movies or documentaries about it. But then I just grabbed a book called Malleus Maleficarum. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's like this huge. It's kind of a Bible looking book from I don't know 1700, and it tells everything about the witch hunt. And I don't think, like, to be briefly answer your question, I don't think I have too many bad memories. Of course, there's always like writer's block kind of thing, But I usually have fun while writing. I'm sure there are some things, but I can't think of any right now.
So what is the weirdest thing you've had to Google while searching something about serial killers?
There are so many. Yeah, I told my wife that if somebody like, I don't know, like the local FBI we have, they would like, track or see what people are Googling, and I would be in jail because I've Googled so strange things, from how to get rid of a body, and how to smuggle drugs. Everything you find in my books I have Googled at one point. So I could make like a top 100 of the strangest things I have Googled, and it would be a fun read.
I would like to read just your search history. I think that would be
Yes.
Yeah, I think it would be amazing.
Every time we have an author on our show who writes dark fiction, we always have to ask that, like, what's the worst thing you've Googled? And everyone's like, oh gosh, I had to Google how many rocks can you fit inside a human lung? And we were like, that's actually something I Googled. I Googled that.
That's a unique one. I don't know. What stands for?
I mean, of course, it depends on what size rock it is. But I was like, how many rocks like this size? And it was roughly 3 rocks per lung if you could cut them open.
Anybody was wondering.
Sorry, it's Monday morning here in the United States, and I'm talking about gross things.
You always learn something new when you talk with your colleagues. That's what I learned. And, I won't forget it.
You might have nightmares forever.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we're out of time. Max, I am glad that you made your dramatic entrance.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Inconvenience, you had to wait for me, and totally my mistake.
You don't need to apologize. It gave Trisha and I a chance to chat.
Yes.
So thank you, Max, for being here. Everybody, Max's website is scrolling on the bottom. His book comes out tomorrow. It's called The Witch Hunter. Get it, love it. And and everybody else who's watching, our loyal fans, tune into our show regular time on Wednesday at 6 p.m. for our Halloween party. So we will be dressing up and talking creepy. So thank you, Roman Seratin, our producer. Thank you, Pam Stack, our executive producer. Thank you to everybody at the Global Authors on the Air Radio Network. This has been a copywritten podcast. We'll see you next time.